So sorry.
That's okay, thank you. The Ministry of Justice, with respect to its mandate, and I just want to explain that for a hot moment so that you can appreciate what the intention is with respect to utilizing our budget capital will be. We do provide legal services to the government of Bermuda, as well as the provision of the drafting of the requisite legislation that is passed through the House and the Senate. We also, under our mandate with the Department of Corrections, look to alternatives to incarceration, rehabilitation, crime reduction, as well as the administration of the penal system. The primary departments under the Ministry of Justice consume almost 80% of the budget with respect to salaries. You can imagine the Department of Corrections and the hundreds of prison officers that work within that department, coupled with the other departments within the ministry, such as the Judiciary, the Department of National Drug Commission, as well as court services. So the vast majority of the budget for the Ministry of Justice is earmarked for salaries and operating expenses. Of our budget, it is anticipated approximately 25% of that will be made available for the provision of various programs. And the ministry, and again, I welcome the opportunity to be here. I think that the Premier allowing for the public to be directly involved in the process insofar as providing the feedback as to how we will consider looking at the budget process and the monies that will be spent, I think is quite valuable, particularly for the Ministry of Justice, because, as I said, that 25% will need to be looked at with respect to our initiatives, which have been prioritized to include the delivery of programs and objectives that acknowledge that the antisocial behavior as well as the criminal activities that we are currently facing in Bermuda no doubt impacts each and every one of us here. And to that end, the consideration for the allocation of that 25% that I previously spoke about would be in the various categories. One is with respect to assisting the public with respect to violent offenders and to assist them in reintegrating into the community. By that I mean it's no small secret that the evidence strongly supports the fact that the vast majority of those persons that are serving time within the penal system are indirectly or directly related to substance abuse. To that end, we would, part of the monies that we will be looking at with respect to the budget will be utilized to continue the operation of a residential substance abuse treatment program operating within not only the Department of Corrections, but to further provide fiscal responsibility. It will also be run in collaboration with the Department of National Drug Control. And this program is actually based on what's referred to as the Right Living House, which is a therapeutic community model that will provide for assessment as well as treatment for offenders that are re-entering into the community, so that they have that particular element that provides them with the resources that they need to help to diminish the likelihood of reoffending, recidivism, which is connected directly in most cases to substance abuse. In addition to that, as was indicated in the throne speech, part of that 25%, we certainly want to look at the issue of a mental health treatment program. We recognize that there's a number of members of our community that are being criminalized for various criminal infractions, but they are at the same time suffering from various forms of mental illness. And to that end, the establishment of the Mental Health Treatment Court Program will assist to facilitate providing them with the requisite treatment that they need, but steering them away from the criminal justice system because of their own individual circumstances. In addition to that, again, tying to the 25% and with particular emphasis of the, with respect to the penal system, is the issue of sexual offenders and their treatment. And we would like to also put more monies and funds into the provision of psychological services throughout the penal, both the co-ed as well as the farm, to deal specifically with the individual needs of those persons that have been convicted for offenses related to a sexual offense and things of that nature. One final thing with respect to the corrections will also be the issue of the security of not only the inmates, but also the prison officers itself. So monies will also be expended to ensure that the internal and perimeter security measures of the prison are upheld and enhanced so that we can minimize the situation where contraband illegally gets into the prisons, which will not only provide for the safety of the officers, but also for fellow inmates. And in that end, with respect to cost containment measures, the Ministry of Justice is looking at a number of things to contain the costs. One of them specifically deals with the provision of legal services for those individuals that cannot afford to hire their own lawyers privately, and that's with respect to the legal aid system, which does cost quite a bit of money, and we are looking at containing those costs through the provision of, similar to what you see in the United States with respect to public defender's office, but yet also allowing for practitioners that practice within that realm to be able to contribute and provide that particular service. So in that, I was provided with 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm glad I went first because I hope I set the stage for my colleagues and that they will adhere to those time constraints. Thank you.